This is 2J's in a Pod. I'm Mary Ellen Murphy with WGHN Radio.
And I'm Sarah Leach with the Ottawa News Network.
And we have been left to our own devices. Dirk is on the road promoting his book, Route to Elsewhere. All right, we have to start with... national news. This is interesting. This just came down today. A group of bipartisan congressmen traveling to Washington, D.C. had their plane diverted after a disruptive passenger forced the aircraft to make an emergency landing. Arizona Congressman Greg Stanton shared a post on X explaining that he was on board an American Airlines flight from Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport with Congressman Eli Crane, Andy Biggs, and Paul Gosar, and they were forced to land in Kansas City and remove the passenger. Yikes.
Did the passenger know who they were and went after them specifically, or did they just happen to have bad luck?
It just doesn't say. It says, according to reports from TMZ, a rep for the American Airlines confirmed that police removed the passenger from the plane. Then they took off and went to Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. Don't know why he was unruly.
You know, we're seeing a lot more of those kinds of things happening, especially with air travel. It just feels like there's been a huge uptick in people just losing their shit on planes. I don't know. It's stressful, but I just don't understand why this keeps happening.
I know. The longest federal government shutdown in history. It's over. President Trump signed a funding bill passed by Congress that should bring some welcome relief for travelers. But that's going to take a couple of weeks.
Well, then we have that outstanding question about the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
Whether or not there's actually going to be vouchers, some sort of vouchers thing for next year.
I'm going to throw up.
I know.
I was online and I got far in it. I was doing the thing. Mm-hmm. And then I just went, fuck it. And I closed it out and I thought, I'm so disgusted. Let's talk a little bit about the Affordable Care Act, if we will.
Yes, shall we?
Shall we? We're talking, it expanded health coverage to millions of Americans who were uninsured.
This was under President Obama.
Right. And I guess I just don't understand why you have a problem with this. And if it is a problem, then you should have talked to the lawmakers to come up with something else instead of just saying repeal it, repeal it, repeal it.
Well, I've reported, well, maybe not directly, but I've read a lot about it, obviously in the business that we're in. Mm-hmm. And I personally I'm on the ACA now.
Yeah, me too. Right.
On the marketplace because, we're independent contractors and that's what you have to do. But
right.
I am actually paying less a month now than I was in an employee health care based program, and which usually is the inverse.
Yeah.
But that system was so complex that I was probably paying about $400 a month,
right?
Just for myself. Now I'm paying $300, but now it's anybody's guess in terms of where rates go because they're so reactive to what is going on with the private marketplace. And I don't know. I just don't understand why this is always a perennial thing that we have to keep, arguing about. Can we just have a plan?
Yeah. And Republicans, you haven't done a darn thing.
Just tell me
you sat on your fat asses and you haven't done a darn thing.
Just tell me how to go to the doctor. I just want to go to the doctor. And if I don't have insurance, they won't see me. So how do I get insurance?
They don't care. Can
somebody just tell me what the path is to see a doctor?
The pro-life party doesn't care about people like you and me. They don't care. People show you who they are by their actions.
Well, I think that's also it's the whole healthcare industry too.
Yeah.
Because historically, ever since these big companies have come into play, and look, I understand we all needed these companies to provide insurance, and people would get jobs, and they would do that to have access to these benefits, but. It's gotten so out of control where people are denied procedures.
Yeah.
They're being forced to. I've experienced this where I've been forced to drive an hour, because it's out of network, and it's so out of control that I think that the ACA sort of did solve some of those problems. Why are we now creating more problems?
I don't know.
We're just going to see people sicker, and then
they don't care. That's why they don't care.
Preventative care costs less.
They don't care.
And reactive care, once you have illnesses and diagnoses, and
the pro-life party does not care.
The back end is so expensive. You see how we're talking past each other?
I'm sorry. I'm just so disgusted. And, I want to bring this up, too, especially to, the OIers and the people out there that just think you should just go out and get a job and get health insurance, and that's the way life works.
No, my favorite talking point is that they believe in feeding the children, but that it shouldn't be the government's responsibility.
Oh, I see.
It should be the parents who also are poor to feed those children.
Okay, whatever. Okay. What a vicious circle. The Affordable Care Act also allowed young adults to remain on their parents' health insurance till they were 26. Now, let me say something.
Yeah.
Not everybody goes to college right out of school.
Right.
Not everybody goes to college. Not everybody does something. Or these young adults get out of college with a degree. They can't find a job, or they get hired at 32 hours a week so they don't have to pay them health insurance.
Right.
That's what the ACA did. Right. My kids benefited from that.
Yep. Well, it creates...
I don't get it.
In a lot of ways, it creates the very problem that they're criticizing. I know of at least one person specifically in my network who makes the conscious choice to work less than 20 hours at his job.
Okay.
So that he can qualify for Medicare.
Oh, Medicaid? You're seeing a lot of that.
Yeah,
you're seeing a lot of that.
Because he can't find a full-time job that allows him access to to basically be that productive member of society that apparently checks that box for a lot of these conservatives.
Well, why isn't he reaching out to his church family? Or
I know.
Not everybody has family.
Well,
not everybody belongs to a church.
I mean, honestly, if I had to choose between money and health insurance, I would choose money because I need food and shelter before I need a doctor. I mean, that's the sad reality of it. And so they're literally compounding the very problem that they claim to want to solve.
I mean, my mom, your mother was a nurse. My mom worked at Holy Cross Hospital on Outer Drive in Detroit. The stories that she would have on full moons.
I know.
The stories.
My mom was at Henry Ford.
Okay. The stories.
I feel ya.
Pop bottles and Barbies. All right.
Yep.
Okay. I'm leaving it at that. Okay.
There was a fun one about a light bulb one.
Yeah. Okay. My mom. We would have conversations at the dinner table about not giving away patients' names or anything, but about health care, about what she would see, how things wouldn't be covered, how messed up it was. And this was in the late 70s, and it is 2025. I don't understand why anyone would have a problem with people being insured.
Yeah.
Then you know what, Republicans? Go out and design a better plan. You've had 10 years and you didn't do squat.
Well,
you didn't do squat.
Because it's not actually about fixing the problem.
You didn't do squat. You don't care.
It's really just about, it's a good political wedge issue.
Oh, sure.
Well, look how, the abortion issue was used by conservatives for decades and decades. And they all said, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And I think that maybe in principle, they are pro-life and they did want to overturn Roe v. Wade, but most of them never actually took any initiative to, in fact, do that, even though they campaigned on it. It's just, it's an easy thing to campaign on and then not have to deliver on.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. I'm going to move on to Epstein. Look.
I'll believe it when I see it. They say they're going to vote on it, and I'm just like, okay.
Well, the discharge petition reached 218 signatures. Johnson is required to put the bill on the floor soon. How can anyone deny that President Trump was? How can any? I cannot wrap my head around the world we're living. I feel like we're living in two different worlds.
I know. It's
I
like
have friends that are religious. They're wonderful people, and they support probably one of the most vile people we've ever seen. And it's disgusting. I read about Epstein 20 years ago, okay? This stuff has been out there for a long time. I'm supposed to believe that he didn't have any contact with any. I'm supposed to believe. Okay. You don't think that this stuff's going to come out?
Well, I don't know to what extent that's the big question, right? Is we all know that he knew Epstein. We've all seen the photographs of them.
Okay, but we don't know what happened.
Signed, taped on off the list and whatever. but we just don't know like what level of involvement and
Right.
when. And you know, I think that since everyone has that question, I think that should be answered. It's very strange to me that we didn't just do that in the beginning.
Yeah, I know. That doesn't make sense.
By not doing it, it made it super duper weirder.
Yeah.
And now it's at peak weird.
I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. And to your point about like why people voted for him, I remember in the 2016 election and the one last year where people, conservatives, there was a common talking point where they said, yeah, but how's your bank account? You know, how's your 401k doing?
Oh, so you can preach about morality and all this other stuff, but then you can turn a blind eye. I've been at this game a long time. The last 10 years have been exhausting for people in the media. Exhausting.
I know.
And there's only one common factor, and his name is Donald Trump. Yeah. And I'll leave it at that. And you know what?
The human mind is capable of rationalizing horrific things.
Apparently so.
World War II and
Apparently
all of its
so.
awful events are the prime example of that. And I think that people, will make excuses in their head. Like, it's okay to endorse somebody that I find repulsive because I need to ensure my family's future for my 401k.
Okay.
Look, I'm not going to judge you necessarily for making that decision, but then just own it. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. That's the part that bothers me.
It bothers me too. Right.
Just own it.
Just own it. Own it. Yeah. Admit that you voted for a vile person. Just own it.
You don't even have to do that. You can just say, look, I know that he's kind of, I don't even like the guy, but I want my money.
Own it.
Right.
You're right.
But don't try to convince me that it's anything other than that.
Yeah. I'm just flabbergasted. And the victims, these poor victims. I mean, how they must be feeling.
Oh, and the one woman who committed suicide.
Virginia.
Oh, yeah. That was awful.
Yeah.
But you saw how England is now stripping all of Prince Andrew's titles. And I just thought, why? I mean, this was happening when the Queen was still alive. Like, why has it taken so long? It's like no one really wants to acknowledge these kinds of, specifically when sex abuse is involved. Nobody ever wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to acknowledge it, even though they also are equally, horrified. But acknowledging it means that you have to take responsibility for doing something about it, and nobody wants to do that.
Nobody wants to do that. You're right. Wow, you're right. A federal judge says the Trump administration cannot force states to undo their delivery of SNAP benefits. Many states began distributing the food benefits over the weekend. On Wednesday, a federal judge ruled that the USDA's claim that the benefits were unauthorized was untethered to the factual record and prohibited the administration from forcing states to undo the payments. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but now, like with the shutdown over, isn't the point moot? Like, they would have gotten those benefits anyway.
Right.
I'm very confused about, if nothing else, we should be asking a lot of questions about how you can just like cut off aid, how the executive branch can make those kinds of determinations and decisions. That tells me that we need better rules when we run into these situations, because shutdowns are political. I mean, it's all about a pissing match between, one side wants one thing and another side wants another thing, depending on whatever the issue is or whatever the big talking points are. Yeah. But you can't hold the poor or the working poor hostage as a political bargaining chip. And that's the thing that, like, frankly, just disgusts me.
It makes me sick.
Yeah.
They'll say that you and I have Trump derangement syndrome, because we talk about him and, if we point out things that he shouldn't be doing.
I'm not sure I can be deranged. I've never met the man.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I feel like I'm pretty articulate for a deranged person.
Yeah, I know.
Although today I'm very croaky. I'm getting over a cold. I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
If I sound squeaky.
Jack Schlossberg throws his name in for Congress now.
That's fascinating to me.
Okay. Well, I grew up in. It's a family that comes from Boston, Irish Catholic, pictures of Kennedy on the walls. That's how I grew up.
And they're a dynasty. I mean,
and so I
it was
know
a whole era.
I know about them. I kind of follow them. I had been following him on Instagram. He got a little goofy over the summer, but he passed the bar on the first try.
Yep.
He's a smart young man, and he's running for Congress in New York. And I'm hoping,
and he's pretty anti-Trump.
Well, okay, but I'm hoping that maybe he can get people excited about politics again, because I saw something. Was it Ottawa County Dems? I'm not sure what it was. There wasn't anybody. It was all old people.
Well,
I'm sorry, people my age.
This is a good point, I think, because this is like a conversation that's happening locally a little bit too, right? Where people are kind of disenfranchised. Well, I should say progressives and just traditional Democrats are disenfranchised with the party right now because they don't have their version of Trump. We've talked about that before. And I've kind of made the point that, you don't need like a savior. You've got a lot of competent people, but they just don't know how to adjust in the modern age. And you've got like this far left faction of the party that is really advocating for, clearly socialist views. And then you've got the traditional members of the party who are just like, that's too radical of change. We can't, it doesn't make any sense. And they can't come together. And it's definitely a generational gap. But we're starting to see candidates, for example, Chris Kleinen's running for Michigan Senate, right? He's a different kind of Democrat.
Okay.
He actually talks about things that are not in like this very polished, politically skewed way, if that makes any sense. We've got Joe McCluskey, who's also running, and he's a recovering Republican.
Okay,
and he's got an awesome origin story. Just his whole like political evolution over time. We're going to need candidates like that are able to not just be like rooted in this ultra left viewpoint in order to bring the rest of the party along. Like you have to be able to talk to conservatives. You have to be able to talk to moderates. You have to at least be able to show that you understand and can relate to what their views are.
Been able to do that in the last 10 years.
Because you're never going to get the youth vote otherwise. And the youth vote tends to skew liberal just because, kids are feisty and independent and don't like being told what to do by, their dad. But yeah, I'm hopeful that they're starting to get it. And Pelosi is retiring.
Right.
And those kinds of the old guard of the Democratic Party is finally starting to phase out, and maybe this is a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Democrats are frustrated with the party, Republicans are frustrated with the party, and people that supported Donald Trump in MAGA, that interview that he did with Laura Ingraham, she just bugs the crap out of me. But anyway, and I used to listen to her when she was on the radio, and I actually enjoyed her when she was on the radio. So go figure. But I mean, she's completely done a 180. Because I used to like her on Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher, but he took her on a tour and this and that, and he saying that the American workers can't do the jobs in this country, and that really ticked off a lot of people. So. But they have a tendency to kind of forget what he says, There's that tendency there. So let's shift to local politics. I did not watch the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners meeting. The minutes haven't been released yet from...
Correct, because I don't think that they actually have finalized the wording, is what I'm being told, to send to the judge so that the judge can issue the order that tells the county to release the minutes. Okay. And something that I need to correct is that,
what's that?
I thought that there was going to be audio attached to this. There is not audio from that November 6th, I think it was, 2023 meeting, closed session. And what is interesting to me is that because that meeting was so wild and weird, that after that they started audio recording closed sessions. And that's why we, months and months later, that we have the recordings of the severance agreements that happened in December. The clerk's office recognized that just noting some bullet points of basic discussion, and because they're not detailed notes. It's just like, so-and-so proposed this. It was rejected. Like it does not get into any kind of like back and forth discussions. They're not like actually stenographing anything. Okay. It's not like that. It's just kind of a general, very general 30,000 foot view, like accounting of what happened.
Well, when I finish up that interview with Jacob Bonema, he will take you step by step through that day. 'Cause he talked about that. The interview is, it's an hour and a half. So I have to do it part 1, part 2, and I'm going to have to work on it this weekend. There were committee meetings.
Yes. Yes, there was a planning and policy, finance, and talent and alignment.
Oh, anything happen?
Not a whole lot. I mean, because the shutdown is over, the Community Action Agency is sounding a much more hopeful and optimistic.
Good.
Because some of the state level staff that actually manages the block grant funding for that agency, they think that they're going to be restored, so things should start to sort of stabilize. But I think that it really, again, it begs the greater question that this is kind of a house of cards, right? You take out one card and the whole thing collapses. And so we need better systems and processes. Now, the county passed a resolution at its last full board meeting in October, and they said that if the government, assuming that the shutdown was going to stretch on, and even if it came back and this funding isn't there for this agency, because this is helping people with their heating bills and stuff.
Right.
This is like really important stuff. I mean, these are the people that are on the fringe of, homelessness if they don't have some of these critical services. And the county said, well, if the funding doesn't come through, we're going to explore options of maybe dipping into our contingency funds to help fund it. I think that they should do that anyway. Okay. I think that they should use this as a lesson to adopt policies about certain programs, not all of them, but, specific programs that like help the vulnerable, because when we inevitably will be here again. Yeah. We will. I don't know when. Could be next year. Could be 4 years from now. Who knows? I mean, I don't know who's going to be president. It's probably going to be Trump again. Anyway, so, but we need to be having these conversations and be proactive instead of reactive is what I would like to see from my local government, so that it's not just a 5-alarm fire. And then there's this big argument, between the commissioners about like, well, how do we handle this? And maybe we should wait for the administration to do this and blah, 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 blah. And then nobody does anything.
And no one does anything, right?
Just now that it's not a crisis, actually take the time to do a thing and put a safety net in place.
I feel like I came off really angry today, but you and I are, we don't know what's going to happen to us. Yeah. It's really hard to live this way.
I know. Well, fortunately, I mean, I have a wonderful, community of people that, the people that I'm working for understand that situation and will definitely, they will help if I end up getting priced out of the market. I understand that they will work with me and stuff. But I am one of the few people that would be in that situation. That certainly does not speak for the majority.
And I have a side hustle, and that person is willing to help me as well. Right. And that's, to me, that speaks volumes of the people that are in our lives. It's just, I just get very angry when people tell me that they're pro-life, but then they don't want people with pre-existing conditions to have health insurance, or I can't wrap my head around it, and it's exhausting.
Well, it's not like, everyone's just sitting around like, catching diabetes. If you're born with something, or if you contract something through no fault of your own, I just don't understand why you have to pay a price because why?
I know. I just know the last 10 years
because they're going to end up in an ER, and then they're going to be a drain on the system anyway. I don't understand what the point of all of that is.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. So there will be a vote on Epstein next week. Sure. What about the ACA? When I don't know what's happening. I don't know.
Well, I think that so the only brief news coverage that I saw yesterday was that Senate Republicans were saying that they were going to try to bring forward some sort of voucher program or system or something.
You had 10 years
at the beginning of the year, and then I remember the newscaster then said, House Republicans have not committed to that.
You had a long time.
And I'm like, okay, that already tells me that this isn't going to happen.
You had a long time to try to figure something out. You don't care. You don't care. I'm sorry, but you don't care.
We've been promised this since 2017, so I don't know.
Let's see. So, Doug, did we talk about Doug Zylster wanting to be throwing his name in for board chair and going
interesting?
Yeah, and going back to 2 meetings a month too. Which I like the 2 meetings a month because we're going Too many weeks without a meeting.
I agree. I mean, while I do understand the rationale, of just like one batch, just you take one block of time, one chunk of time, and we're not seeing like 13-hour meetings anymore.
Well, that's true. God. Yeah, that's true.
But, I mean, there is a disconnect where there are urgent things that need to be taken care of sometimes, and they just can't be. And I just, I think that memories are short in the community, and I think that the commissioners, again, need to read the room, and we're still in this, recovering from a very intense, previous 2 years that was very volatile, and a lot of people are, they want to know what's going on, and they want to know what's going on now, and they rely on people like you and me, and sometimes, absent of a meeting, we don't know what's going on.
Right. Were any appointments made for these committees, or because there's a lot of people that have really been invested in what's going on, and they should. I'm hoping that they were given committee assignments. Can I throw her name out there?
I know that there was a few. They did make some recommendations. One of the biggest things that I'm worried about is the compensation committee. Oh, does anyone remember that? That was the first thing that I covered after I got fired in 24.
Oh, that the Board of Commissioners wanted a raise?
Yes.
They wanted like $32,000 a year or something like that? And that's like someone's salary for a full-time job.
I know. And
they're so clueless.
And this meeting, if anybody remembers that complete shit show, is that it was in a room in the Fillmore complex. It was not like televised or recorded in any way, shape, or form. It actually was improperly noticed. We found out later, and then it had to be like redone in order to.
Oh yeah,
and
I remember.
I was just like, oh my God, this is like the craziest thing I've ever seen in government.
All right, so when's the next meeting? It's the week of Thanksgiving.
It is. It's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. It's also Adoption Day.
Yeah, I'm going to go to that.
They are not going to have a ceremony this year.
Oh, how come?
I know.
How come?
Well, apparently a lot of couples that are currently in the adoption process are not quite finalized, and they're asking for privacy. And it's just happened to be the majority of them in sort of a limbo situation. And but they're still going to talk about it and honor it, and
okay, good. Good. Yeah. Thanksgiving and wow.
I know this year.
Do you go home like the other side of the state? You do go home for Thanksgiving.
It's my aunt, who's essentially my mother.
Yes.
It's also her birthday.
Aww.
So we go down and celebrate. And,
nice.
Bring the kids and all that stuff.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up. We just don't.
Oakley dokley.
I don't want to come off as being mean. I'm just frustrated. I'm just so tired.
Think that you're coming off as mean.
I'm just so tired of the bullshit. I'm tired of it. All right? Whatever. I'm just exhausted. I need a vacation. Actually, no, I had a good day today. All right. Good to see you. This has been 2 J's in a Pod. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.